Hey everybody, I'm going to work on this ficus tree here. I'm not exactly sure how long I've had this ficus tree. I know it's been in this pot here for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. Not exactly sure. Been super busy and everything's been hectic, so it's hard to remember back right now. Anyway, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do some leaf trimming and a little bit of pruning. I'm really liking how this tree is looking, so I'm not going to do a whole lot of work on it, but there is obviously a lot of foliage and there's a lot of bugs today, so please excuse that. So I'm going to explain which leaves I'm trimming off, how to know which leaves to trim off, I guess how to tell where the older leaves and the newer leaves, and just kind of go through it. This is one of my favorite kinds of trees, the Ficus benjamina. I think one of the reasons why I like it so much is because my first one I got from a cutting from my great-grandmother. So, and I still actually have that one of those trees. I got 3 cuttings, and one of them died a couple of years ago, and one of them died this last winter in the frost. I had it in here, and it wasn't quite as tattered as it is right now, but still it didn't keep it warm enough. But one of them did survive. I've done a video on it a little bit before, but anyway, that's why they're my favorites, because it just reminds me of her, and you know, she was really into plants too, so I think that's also why I'm really into plants. So let's get started. So I've got my pruning shears here. I want to make sure that they're clean. I've used them for other things, so you can use alcohol and like a cotton swab to clean them if they get dirty. These ones will be okay. Ficus trees, they'll bleed when you cut them. So when you cut a leaf off, which let me find a leaf really quick here that I want to cut off. Cut this leaf off. It's too far inside. As you can tell right here, the white sap. So they'll bleed, and when they bleed, they actually the sap actually has latex in it. So if you're allergic to latex, wear gloves. Obviously, they're not latex gloves, but wear some kind of gloves when you trim these trees, because inevitably it will get on you. So just be careful with that and be aware of that. So okay, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and show you a couple of the different leaves and like different colors of the leaves, so that you know the difference between older leaves and newer leaves. So let me move the camera a little bit closer here. Okay, so this leaf here on the end, or any of these leaves on the end here, are going to be the newer leaves. So if you can tell, like this leaf is a lot lighter than say this leaf. You can tell the contrast on them. So this is going to be an older leaf, and actually this leaf I would take off because it's bent right here. It looks a little funky. If that's something you like, then you can leave them on there. It doesn't mean that the leaf is necessarily unhealthy. It just, it looks weird. So I'm going to take that one off. And also, taking the leaves off of these trees, I mean, I could potentially just take all the leaves off this tree and they'll just come back, but I would wait until spring to do that. You can do it midsummer and spring. I wouldn't do it just before winter, because that might be why those other 2 trees had issues and the one actually died, because I did that I think it was about this time last year, and I don't think they had enough time to recover. So I think that's why they died. So I'm going to go ahead and take off like the little branch tips like this. A lot of times they'll just break off. Take off the branch tips on all this stuff. So another thing that I'm going to do is each node where a leaf is a potential spot to grow a new branch. And this one's got a lot of branching, and I think I've already gone through and cleaned up a lot of the leaves that I'm going to be talking about in this part of it. I don't see any just right off. Okay, so yeah, I think I did go through and clean this one out before, but I'm going to clean up some more of these leaves. But anyway, basically at the end of the leaf, like right here, it will potentially grow a new branch right in between the leaf. And I think because it's coming up on wintertime right now, this one is just maintaining. I mean, it does have some new growth on the ends, but the ramification isn't exploding right now. Like springtime, this thing is gonna just like go crazy, and early spring I'll probably defoliate it again, and then I'll trim it back to a good profile, probably taking some of the top stuff off here to keep it kind of a more of a rounded shape. Kind of want to do an umbrella style on this tree. So I'm gonna go through, and I am gonna take some of the tips off just to kind of keep it in check for now, and keep it looking nice. You don't really want to go through and prune your trees too often, because then all of the energy is going to recovering from each pruning, and then it's going to expend all of its energy on recovering and then die. So you don't want to do that. But every so often you can go through, especially with like tropical trees like this one, they recover pretty fast, and they grow all year round. They do slow down during the wintertime, but they will grow all year round. So I'm just taking the tips off, and a lot of times also when you take the tips off, it will actually cause the branching to start growing more quickly, because like right now obviously it's just not really growing a whole lot at all. It's got a couple of small branches that are growing, but yeah, because it is getting cold, they are slowing down quite a bit. And these trees you can also directionally prune. So like the leaves will alternate from one side of the branch to the other. Like this one here, 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 and here. So they'll alternate. Sometimes they'll skip a spot, which is a little weird, but sometimes they'll skip a spot. But whenever you chop the end off, it will come out the next leaf. There'll be another branch come out, and that'll be the end of the branch again. So depending on where you want the branch, which direction you want it to go, would depend on where you cut it on the branch. So I'm going to want this to go out this way. So I'm going to cut it off right here and give it a little bit of room to die back, because these ones will die back to the next node. So if you cut it right at there, this branch won't grow. This one will grow, and then this whole thing will die back. So make sure that you give it just a little bit of room to grow. And once it starts growing a branch, you just come back in, like right here, it grew this branch and I cut the end of that off. This one's looking really good actually. I don't have a whole lot of ends cut off. Actually, here's one right here. I don't know if you can really see it on the camera, but this end right here, I mean, it kind of breaks off too. So sometimes they just fall off because of the wind and the tree moving in the wind. And other times, like this one here, you just come back in and just cut it off and it'll grow. This branch will grow and that'll kind of disappear after a while. And a lot of times I'll try and let some of the branches get longer than I want to, and let an actual group of branches grow. And then you can cut it back. Like if I were to cut this back to here, I could use this as a new tree. I could make it a cutting and root it and grow a new tree. And these trees are, they root very easily and quickly. So you could just basically use some rooting hormone, put it in some dirt, and it'll grow. You just water it like it's a normal tree, and it'll grow. So I know that that's how I got this tree also. And I've got a couple more out here. I don't even know how many ficus trees I have right now, because I do that a lot because I like them so much. So yeah, so that's how I got this tree. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut out some of the internal leaves to give it a little bit more light on the inside, and take off the ends of the branches so that it looks better for the wintertime. Because other than that, this tree is doing really good. It's nice and green, and the leaves are really solid. Even the newer leaves are pretty solid, which means it's growing really well. It's in good sun. These like to be outside during the summertime, even in colder climates. Like I came out here from Colorado, so I would have these outside during the summertime, and they would grow fantastic. And then before it got cold, November time, because you know how climate is changing, and November is now not as cold as it used to be. So anyway, I would take them in around November time and just grow them in the house. I would put them near a window, or if you don't have a window that you could put them near, you could put a growing light over them, and that would help. That's not absolutely necessary. Just put them kind of near a window, and that will make them grow just fine. And eventually I think I'm going to wire this branch to where it sticks out here. I might actually do that right now. A little spider came out. Actually, I might do that today. I might wire this out because that just really opened it up. And these do take well to wiring. A lot of times you'll have to rewire them because they are, I mean, they're not flimsy, but they are very pliable. I mean, you can see they can just move pretty easy. So sometimes you will have to rewire them so that they'll stay, because they'll go back to a position a little bit. My daughter's kind of messing with the camera right now, kind of helping me out. So anyway, so I'll probably wire a couple of these down. This one I'll probably wire down, and this one I'll wire out here. Actually, that one's staying where I want it anyway, so I might wire this one down and see how that turns out. Because I was looking at it and I'm thinking that there's a ton of leaves in here that are blocking a lot of sun, but now that I did that, it's almost wide open. And I don't see any of the leaves like I was talking about that are coming out of a node to take off. So I think I might take out a couple of these internal branches, like this little guy that's growing right into the middle of the tree. And I like taking them off before they cause a problem, because these trees will swell. If you leave a whole bunch of branches at one spot, they will swell up. It takes a little while, and it doesn't look too terrible when they do that. But, I mean, completely avoiding it is better than trying to fix it later. So, I like to do that before they become a problem. And plus, then I don't get attached to the branch and not want to cut it off at all. So, cut it off before you get attached to it. I'm taking off some of the branches that are growing straight down on the bottom, which these don't generally have problem with that. The branches growing downwards, and sometimes I actually like the branches that are growing on the bottom of the branch, because you can take the top branch off and it'll look like it's growing out rather than growing down. And then once they start getting more sun, they'll actually start growing back up towards the sun too. So directional pruning is our friend. this tree's looking really good. I'm really excited about it. There's a branch in here that's left over. A lot of times I'll like take off the extra large leaves. So like these ones, they're like extra large, but there's only one other leaf on this branch. So I'm not going to take those off yet until it grows a couple more leaves, and then I'll take all these off. Like I said, probably next spring I'll take all the leaves off, and then you can tell like some of the leaves are still smaller. And I did defoliate this, I think it's been about 3 months ago now, and all the leaves are smaller now than they were before, but they're still larger than I'd like them to be. So each time you defoliate it, the leaves actually do get smaller, especially if you have it in a really sunny place and the tree is really healthy. They'll grow smaller leaves. And also because when you cut all the leaves off, each place where there was a leaf, it generally turns into another branch. And each time there's another branch, there's more leaves, and the more leaves it has, the smaller the leaves can be to produce enough energy to keep the tree healthy. So that's another way of making your leaves smaller and getting more branches on it by defoliating. You don't want to defoliate a deciduous tree like a maple or am I thinking like an elm or something like that, because they lose their leaves in the wintertime, and in the springtime it has a very similar effect as defoliating a tropical tree. So you don't really need to defoliate, or you wouldn't want to defoliate deciduous trees. So yeah, I'm thinking that looks pretty darn good. And I don't even see the branch I was wanting to wire down. I think it's this one. I think I am going to wire that. And you really don't need really thick wire for these trees because the branches are so flexible. I'll use a little bit longer piece than that. And I keep all my wire that I take off of my trees. If I can reuse it, I will. So that's what I'm doing right now, looking for a piece of wire that I already have. Alright, so here's this piece. And I'm going to straighten it back out. And if you have a table that you don't necessarily care about, like this, you can use the table and kind of hold the wire at both ends and then run the wire on the table and it'll straighten it out for you. So this is aluminum wire. It works a lot better with aluminum wire to do that. Copper wire, you can use like a torch to anneal it. Basically, you put it in a clamp to where you don't touch the wire, and then you heat it up to where it's glowing, but before it melts completely, but to where it's glowing, and then you just let it air cool. You don't put it in water, just air cool it, and that's called annealing, and it makes the wire actually flexible again. And then you can twist it on your branches, and that compresses the molecules, and it makes the wire harder, so it'll hold the branch where it's supposed to be. And a lot of times you want to use a piece of wire and wire two branches together, but honestly I don't have another branch to wire, so I'm just going to go down the trunk with this. And be careful not to scrape the trunk with the end of the wire because it will damage the bark. So have that on there and wrap this around it. I'm not going to go into too much about how to wire right now in this video because I don't have a whole lot of examples. I'm just doing one branch. I'm going to go out to the larger of the two branches here And I'm not going to go to the end of the branch because I want it to grow past the wire. And plus the end of the branch will hide the wire. I actually learned that the other day from another bonsai artist, so I'm going to put it to the test. And then I'm going to give this branch a little bit of character right there, and then turn this back up where it's going to be here. And now that this is kind of bent down like this, these branches here, they're kind of facing down. If you can tell, they're kind of facing down a little bit. They'll bend back up to the sun. The sun will like drag them back up. So yeah, I like that. That looks really good. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I don't like having a front, a back, and a side to my trees. I like the whole tree to look natural from any angle. So if I like this side, if I'm looking at this side, if I'm looking at that side, you know, I want it all to look good from every angle. So I spin my tree around and look at it like I'm in nature, just walking around it. Yeah, I think I might wire this one down too. Yeah, I'm not gonna wire that one down. I have a piece of wire right here. I'm gonna wire this, and I don't have another branch over here on this one either, so I'm just gonna do this one on the trunk too. And that works just fine. It's just when you can wire two branches together, you're using one piece of wire for two branches instead of a whole bunch of pieces of wire for a couple of branches, you know. So it just kind of makes it easier that way. And also wiring two branches, it gives it a little bit more stability if you need the stability. This I'm not going to, because it's still a small tree and these branches are very flexible. So I'm going to change the direction of the wire on this one. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that on any of the videos that I've ever watched, where they're twisting it one way and then twisting it another way going down a different branch. But that's just how I needed it. So and you do want character in the branches when you wire them, but I don't like putting way too much bend in it because then it doesn't look natural. And this one I'm going to do, this particular tree I'm going to do natural. I have done trees where they're obviously not natural the way they're bent, and that's fun too, but this one I'm going to do as naturally as I can get it. So yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I'm going to take a couple more leaves off the top here because they're blocking a little bit of the sun, and they're the older leaves. I just said I wasn't going to take that one off. I really want to, but I'm not going to. Take this one off here. This one right here. This one's a lower leaf on this branch. That one inside. That's only one leaf on, or one or two leaves on that branch, so I'm going to leave that. Oh, the sun's like right in my eyes right now. That looks, yeah, that looks about right. I like it. So I'm going to do a spin for you here. And I think it is sticking out a little bit over here, a little bit more than I would actually like it according to this side. But man, darn bug, leave me alone. But I'm going to leave those because I like these branches and they're doing well, and I want to keep these branches. I just want these ones to grow out a little bit more. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this tree. Okay, so found another tree out in the nursery that has a few of the leaves, like I was talking about, that I want to take off. Also, found something super adorable right here. Tiny little tree frog. He's a cutie pie. I'm gonna just leave him in there. Maybe he'll stay, maybe he won't. Probably will though. I'm not gonna cut him off. Anyway, so there's a couple of leaves on here that are like the ones that I was talking about, like this larger leaf right here. And a lot of times they'll wrap around the new branch somehow, so they'll protect it when it's just starting to come out, like this. So this is what a new branch looks like when it's brand new. It just looks like a spike coming out, and then this leaf will cover it and it'll protect it from the direct sunlight so that it'll actually start growing. But once it turns into a branch, like this one's turned into a branch, it's got 2 leaves coming off of it. And I like to generally let it grow to where it is 2 leaves before I cut this one off, so that I know this one's going to survive if I want to keep it. If not, I mean, just cut it all off. But basically, I'm going to cut it off at the base of the leaf and leave some space on there. Once that dies back, you can just touch it and it'll fall off, or the wind will blow it off, or whatever. So basically, I'm going to go through this tree and I'm going to cut off all those leaves that are behind the branch, and try not to cut the branches off, because I've done that a couple of times. Okay, so it is crossing like right in front of everything right here, and it's really not giving the tree any visual aesthetics that are pleasing, and it's also not really contributing to the shape of the tree. So I'm going to cut that one off. And believe it or not, this is actually big enough to make a cutting. You just pull the bottom few leaves off, just pull them off, they come right off. And sometimes I'll take and cut the leaves in half like that, and then I'll put it in the rooting hormone, or sometimes I'll just jam it in some dirt and it'll grow. So this one, just jam it in the dirt. I use sand. I think I've put this in a different video. I use sand, kind of a finer sand, not quite like beach sand, but obviously there's a lot of sand in Florida. So anyway, so I'll use sand, put it in these trays, keep it moist, and just push them in there. And once I've pushed them into the sand, I'll poke my fingers in next to it, and it'll collapse the sand on the trunk, and then they will grow roots. And that's how I'm pretty sure that's how I got this one. Some of them I'll put in dirt. If it's a larger cutting, I'll just put it in dirt with rooting hormone on it. And this tree is going to need a lot of wiring when I decide to shape it. I'm not going to shape it today. I'm going to just kind of let it grow after I do this trimming on it. I'll do that a couple of times on these trees. I'll cut off the leaves, let it grow some more branches, and then I'll shape it later on, because I don't know, I just find that works really well for me when it's a tree from a cutting, because then you have more options by doing that in where you want to go with the tree, and how you want to shape it. So there's a couple of them right here. Little frogs kind of getting in the way. He's so cute. He's a tiny little guy. Because I've actually seen those frogs where they're like that big. They're huge. But he's a little guy right now. He's so cute. And there's another one here. You get distracted really easy by cute little frogs and lizards and stuff.
think everyone does.
Here's one that I didn't get. This branch is 6 leaves in, and I didn't get this one off. I've been just letting a lot of these trees just grow this year and not doing anything with them. Partially because I've been really busy, partially because I've got a lot of trees right now. I've not counted in a couple of weeks, and last time I counted I had almost 200 trees, so that's a lot to take care of, and did that because I'm trying to get to a point where I can open up a bonsai nursery and actually sell the trees. I've actually sold a few trees already to friends and people I know. I did some on Facebook, and I think that's something that I really would like to do full time, but obviously you got to have enough trees to sell to be able to pay the bills before you can do that. So that's what I'm working on. Working. I saw a leaf that had, oh there it is, spider web on it. It's kind of cool, but
Whoa.
I don't really need, there's no spider in it. It's just really interesting. But yeah, it's actually, I don't know if it is a spider web. It looks kind of glossy. Huh, that's kind of cool. But didn't want it on the tree. It's not helping anything by doing that, or by being like that. So you know what, I might just go ahead and wire this tree. I'm gonna wire this branch down, and I think I'm gonna wire 2 branches together this time. Happen to have the perfect size wire, and I'm gonna wrap it around the trunk first, and I'm gonna take out some of the aerial roots because I don't need them quite that high up on the tree right now. These things grow aerial roots really easy out here in Florida. So, and since I'm gonna wire this, and I've done a little bit of wiring, I want to explain a little bit about wiring. I'm not an expert by any means on wiring, still learning, but I know that the direction that you want the branch to travel is the direction you want the wire to end. So like this branch, I want it over here, so I want to wrap it clockwise around this branch so that it ends in a clockwise direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. A little frog jumped off. He's like, no more. He's out of here. That's okay. There's plenty of bugs to eat in here. And there is a leaf on the back side of here, and I kind of want another branch to come out right here. At this point, I might not later, but I'm not gonna knock it off because it's just another option later if I decide that that's what I want to do. So I'm gonna go up the branch. Now, a lot of people say you should do it at a 45-degree angle, or you should do this and that, go this way and that way. And I'm not discounting what they're saying. The ficus trees, because they're so pliable, it doesn't really matter with the 45-degree angle. I know on some trees it definitely does, because like junipers and pine trees, it does, because the branches are a lot more solid. So having the 45-degree angle makes it bend evenly. On these guys, you can bend a branch pretty evenly with a longer angle on the wire. Plus, having a longer angle on the wire, you can use a shorter piece of wire to go longer distance up the branch. And at this point, I'm all about saving a little bit of money, because it doesn't hurt anything. So, I mean, if it was going to be detrimental, spend that couple extra cents. But if it's not, it's not a big deal. I cut the end off. I have a bucket that I keep all my wire in because I do recycle it. So this one I'm going to go counterclockwise. Sometimes I have to decide which way it's going to go. I was a mechanic for a long time, and I mean, you would think that a mechanic righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and just know which way is which, but I had to do that almost the whole time I was a mechanic too, so bear with me. Okay, so I got these branches wired, and now I'm going to just bend them down into place. I'm going to give them a little bit of character, kind of like I did the other tree. Bend them down a little bit so they can go out, and then I'll bend them up. And I mean, you can see it is kind of returning back a little bit. This is a little bit small of a wire for this size of branch, I think, but I don't really need it to go far. So that actually did far enough. I'm going to bend it towards this side of the tree a little bit though. And these branches can break. They are not so bendy that they can't break, but if they do break, they recover really quickly. So I wouldn't worry too awfully hard about breaking the branches. Because I mean, if you hear it snap or crack or whatever you would hear when it does break, like these ones up here, I mean, you could bend these like completely in half and they're not going to break off. But like down at the thicker pieces of the branch, it could crack. If it does crack, just kind of bend it back a little bit to where the bark, because the bark will go, it'll separate, and you just push it back to where the bark touches again, and then it'll heal over in a couple of weeks. They're really resilient trees. They're pretty awesome like that. And then this branch I'm going to bend out, and I think back over this way a little bit, because then that branch is sticking out this way, and then I'm going to bend it to where this branch is. Actually, I want to bend it this way to tighten up the wire. Bend it like this. The cool thing about these trees, you can twist the branches around and get some shape out of it also. So don't be afraid to do that, because then these branches are now sitting parallel, and then this is the new apex for this particular branch here. And I can still twist this one a little bit more too, because the branches are coming out this way, and then that will make these branches come out this way. So I mean, it made that look a lot better with just a little bit of bending, a little bit of wire. Spread the tree out. And I was saying I wasn't going to wire this one, but obviously I changed my mind. And that's the greatest thing about bonsai, I think. One of the greatest things about bonsai. You can change your mind in the middle of it, and it's okay.
It'll still look good.
Yeah, it's
good enough.
Still looks good, and you can just enjoy it. That's my definitely my favorite part about bonsai is just enjoying the trees, you know, because they're nature, you know, they're living, and everything you do to them, you should be thinking, how can I make this healthier? How can I make it more beautiful? How can I, enjoy it more? And doing some work to it, just a little bit of work to it, can obviously make you enjoy it just a little bit more and a little bit more. And as it develops, enjoy it while it's developing. You know, don't just wait until it's done to love your trees. Love your trees as they're growing, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, go buy $1 million bonsai tree that's done, or enjoy it the whole way. You know, because I mean, this particular tree cost me the amount of money for the pot and the soil, because I grew it from a cutting. So, well, work, but it didn't really cost me hardly any money for this tree. And that's also a great thing about bonsai. You can do it for very little money, or you can spend a lot of money on the trees. And I don't know, I have spent money on trees. I think that the trees that I didn't spend money on, I might enjoy just a little bit more. Not because I didn't spend money, just because they're my craft rather than somebody else's craft. I'm thinking if I want to wire this branch over here, I think I might just leave that for now. I like it. It's looking really good. This top is looking odd right here, but like I was saying on the other tree, this, if you look at it like that looks like a tree. So I'm gonna let this develop a little bit more, and then I'll probably cut it off. Right here at this node here, and then I'll bend this branch up, and that'll be the new apex of that branch, the new top of that tree, or the new top of the tree over here. It might be this one, but this will be a new tree, and that one I'll be able to put into some soil, grow some roots, let it grow out for 6, 7, 8 months, and then put it in a bonsai pot. This looks like it's done for now. I'm gonna go put it back on the bench, let it grow, water it, and we'll see how it turns out in the near future here. I'll do an update on some of my trees. I started doing an update video the other day. I just was not feeling it. Had a long day at work, and I was just bleh, doing the video. So I may or may not put that content on my Facebook or not. I might just go do a whole new video when I feel better. So yeah, thanks for watching. This is Jay, and like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload, because it's not on the same day every week. I'm gonna try and work on that. Yeah, so thanks everybody. Have a great day.